It's time again for the Insiders with Chuck Chvala and Scott Jensen, sponsored by the Wisconsin Counties Association and the Tommy G. Thompson Center on Public Leadership.
I'm Chuck Chvala, former Senate Majority Leader.
And I'm Scott Jensen, former Assembly Speaker.
We're the Insiders. So, Scott, the head of the University of Wisconsin, Mr. Rothman, is no longer the head. The Board of Regents has taken him out. I noticed that WMC was complaining about it. Republican legislators were complaining about it. And yet there was a unanimous vote of the Board of Regents. What's going on?
Well, I think we've seen this trend coming for a while, right? As more and more of the people on the Board of Regents have been Governor Evers' appointees. They accepted Tommy Thompson as the president of the university system for a while, and then they scooted him out the door, all the while praising him. And then now they have scooted Rothman out the door, all the while praising him as well. That suggests to me that reasonably that the Evers appointees are like, we want our guy going forward. We want somebody who's actually going to go out and fight for more money for the university, more freedom to operate for the university. And so that's what I think this is about. They are foreseeing what you have predicted many times, that the Democrats are going to win both houses of the legislature and the governorship, and they're trying to line up a leader for the university system who's going to go out there and fight for more money and more freedom. I think they're out of step with the voters on that, though. I mean, everything I see in the polling suggests that what people want from the university system is they want an affordable education that will get their kid a good job. They don't want political indoctrination. They don't want higher prices. They want kind of what they get from the tech college system. And if you ever ask a question in a poll about the tech colleges versus the university system, the tech colleges win handily. It is very inexpensive and it results in a good job. The university system needs to look at why their cousins in the tech college system are so much better liked by the taxpayers of Wisconsin. And I think, that's also what's a little bit behind what WMC and some of the Republicans in the legislature about. Obviously, some of this is politics, and they're just trying to stir the pot because this is a controversial decision. But I think they're sincerely concerned that the university system isn't giving taxpayers the value it's supposed to be giving them right now. And they're worried about the long-term trends where enrollment is going to continue to decline. This is going to become a more and more expensive proposition if you want to maintain what we have. We have to right-size the university system. And anybody who kind of gets close to doing that, Tommy Thompson, Jay Rothman, they're gone. The Board of Regents doesn't have much stomach for that. But I think the voters realize that's got to happen.
I think it's interesting. If you take a short-term view, I think that a lot of what Scott's saying there is very appealing to people. But you know what? If you look at the long term of getting a job, the thing that served us best in the state of Wisconsin is our independent, very strongly intellectual university system. And it served us that way for many, many years. And let me give you a good example. The largest employer, I believe, in Dane County is the EPIC system. And that grew out of the University of Wisconsin. And it employs more than 10,000 people. I think it's like 15,000, but maybe 10 or 12 are here in Wisconsin. That's the kind of thing. And by the way, I once talked to a Rhodes Scholar who used to work for me, and I said, hey, are we just totally out of luck if EPIC moves? He said, Chuck, you'd be amazed at how many 50, 100 person tech companies that we have out there. What the university does is unique. I like to think I'm a smart guy, but you know what? I don't even pretend to know the depth of the things that they get. They're working on things like fusion energy, which would solve all these disputes that we have about energy and where it comes from and how we get it in the Straits of Hormuz and blah, 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 blah. So the bottom line is the university needs to be strong, and it does need to be independent. And I'll tell you what, I think there is a difference between the Dems and Republicans. What I'm worried about is that the Republicans have held in abeyance 11 appointments of Governor Evers for the Board of Regents. That's not a healthy situation. And if they take these people off, I think that will give us further fodder, Democrats, that is, for the fall, as to why the Republicans cannot be trusted. And so it'll be interesting to see how they take this and whether they decide to do it. But I give credit to the Board of Regents, and in particular to the chair, Amy, for taking on a tough task because they felt it needed to be done, in spite of the fact that one of the most prestigious places that you can be in the state of Wisconsin is to be on the Board of Regents. And they are all taking a risk that they may lose that opportunity. You know what that tells me? It tells me that these people feel very strongly that Jay Rothman is not going to lead the university in the right direction. And you know what? They were gracious enough to not say it that way. Chuck isn't that gracious, but they were gracious. And I think that's the way to handle it. And I look forward to the university maintaining and expanding its independence and creating more jobs for the people of Wisconsin. And by the way, remember about the UW extension. It's not just about what happens here in Madison. I just recently had a conversation with a farmer who went from a 60 cow farm up to now his family farm, which has been passed on to him, a 300 cow farm. You would love to hear the stories from this man who went to the University of Wisconsin and what he's doing for the people of Wisconsin. Those are the stories that the university creates that are not often heard.
Well, I hope they have a plan on the Board of Regents because, sometimes people out of a pique will fire somebody and then they look around and go, oh, heck, who's going to take their place? And it's one of the most important jobs in state government, right? So I hope they have a plan for putting the right person in that position because it does matter to Wisconsin's economy and to the future of young people all over the state.
You bet. We'll see you next time.
You've been listening to The Insider with Chuck Chvala and Scott Jensen, sponsored by the Wisconsin Counties Association and the Tommy G. Thompson Center on Public Leadership.